أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today inshallah ta'ala we're going to talk about how to take notes on a notebook or on a laptop, iPad, or even the phone. And this is an important topic because many are going to be doing this when they attend lessons, whether it be with their teachers or through recordings online. And this is the natural continuation of our series on how to take notes. So last time we spoke about how to take notes on your books. Today, inshallah, it's going to be about how to take notes on laptops, on our notebooks, electronic devices, etc. So first of all, just a quick point on notebooks. If you have the option, buy hardcover notebooks. Like I mentioned last time, notebooks and papers tend to get lost, but books tend to be preserved and live on. One way to strengthen the preservation of a notebook is to have a hardcover notebook. That way it's almost like a book. So there will be more chance that it will be preserved compared to like random papers that people write on. So the point is, give preference to hardcover notebooks. And this is an advice actually that some of my teachers gave to me in Medina. Now, advice when writing on a notebook, try to keep it brief if you know that there will be a recording of the dars that you can go back to. So don't go into too much detail, as with the recording you can always get back something that you may have missed. The same can be said for writing on a laptop, MacBook, iPad, etc. If you know the recording is going to be there, inshallah, then don't worry too much about details. However, if you are not sure that there will be a recording, then try to write as much as possible. Now, for example, when you write ayat in a hadith, you don't have to write the whole ayah or the whole hadith. So one should focus on writing the shahid of the ayah or the hadith. And the shahid is the important part of the ayah or hadith pertaining to the topic or the lesson. So in many cases, that would be like writing the beginning of the hadith, for example, or the end of the hadith if that's where the important part is found. And this is even more recommended when you are using a laptop or iPad or phone to take notes. Why? Because it's very easy at that point to research on your own the rest of the hadith. So you can Google the rest of the hadith and then copy paste and put it in your notes and have everything organized. And this is now facilitated with the increase of technology and electronic devices. Now, I would give the same recommendation for writing on a notebook. There is no need to write the entire hadith or the entire ayah, as they can easily be found anyway, and you can complete the hadith or ayah after the dars. Now, another recommendation in order to write quickly, because when you're taking notes in general, you're going to have to be quick, is to use symbols or signs, which we call rumuz in Arabic. Now, many of the ulama and the students use well-known universal symbols that are used in circles of knowledge. For example, to write Al-Bukhari, they write kha, for Muslim, mim, for Ahmed, ha, and so on and so forth. So I recommend learning these codes and symbols in order to learn quicker note taking. Now, another recommendation that I have is once again to beware of Tadlees. Now, there are many types of notes that we can take. They can be, for example, the words of our teacher. They can be, for example, our own personal observations. So once again, we should try and be clear in differentiating these types of notes. No matter how you do that, at least it should be clear that this is different, right? That this I took from my sheikh, that these are my personal observations or researches, etc. Now, once again, there isn't much to say about taking notes, especially on a laptop or on an iPad and other devices. Many of us have been to university. We already have practice in terms of note taking. So really the same rules apply in taking notes when it comes to Islamic studies and Islamic knowledge. So once again, the golden principle is do what works best for you. As long as the objective is attained and reached, which is to have notes that are clear, readable, understandable for you, your family, your bloodline, your descendants, that these notes are well preserved and well organized, all of that is the objective, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, that we all hope and aspire to reach. And finally, what I'll mention is the importance of fawaid. Fawaid meaning benefits, reminders, interesting information, beneficial information. And the idea is try your best to not miss a fa'idah. Try your best to write one down, because a day may come where you may regret not writing down a fa'idah. And the ulama, they speak about this at length actually. Which is why Al-Imam Al-Nawawi rahimahullah says, لا يحتقرن فائدة يراها أو يسمعها. that no one should belittle a fa'idah that he has seen or heard, because he may not need it right now, but the day may come where he was like, oh man, what was that again? I don't know where to find this. I didn't even write it down. I don't know what the reference is. Nothing. So that would be unfortunate indeed. And remember, many times a sheikh or teacher may give like a general lecture. So here you're kind of forced to take notes because you don't have there is no book support for that lecture, for example. So it is greatly advised for one to note down their fawaid that they hear or that they read, whether that be in their notebook or their iPad or their tablet or phone, laptop, MacBook, etc. And we can see in the stories of the Salaf how much they gave importance to fawaid. Al-Humaydi, rahimahullah, for example, and he was from the companions and students of Imam Al-Shafi'i, he narrates that one night he could see the light in the room of Imam Al-Shafi'i, rahimahullah, and it was late at night, so he tried to go and tell him, what are you doing this late at night? And then Imam Al-Shafi'i told him something along the lines of, there were some fawaid that I had in my head and I had to write them down. Why write them down? Because he feared losing them and forgetting them. And Ibn Hajar, in his biography of Al-Zarkashi that he wrote, he also states a similar story of Al-Zarkashi. Al-Zarkashi actually would go to the book market or to the main library, and he would take with him like a notebook, and he would have all of these books available, accessible to him, so he would write down so many notes and fawaid, and then at night go back home and use these references, these fawaid, for his own books that he would author. So again, the same goes for us. We should be organized in a way that when we read or hear fawaid, we are able to preserve them. That being said, I hope you have benefited from this advice. Barakallahu feekum jami'an. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.